In this episode, we're going to look at how to troubleshoot wireless LAN issues. I'll show you how to do it, and we'll talk about the concepts along the way. Now that we've learned how to configure wireless in the home and enterprise networks, we need to learn how to troubleshoot in both of these wireless environments. Our goal is to enable connectivity between hosts on the networks to the web server by both IP address and URL. We'll be discussing troubleshooting various issues in home wireless and enterprise networks, troubleshooting wireless LAN connectivity issues in a home network and an enterprise network. Greetings to all my tech heads out there in the KevTechify nation, and if you're new here, welcome. This episode is part of my series on configuration examples for the CCNA. I'm Kevin here at KevTechify. Let's get this adventure started. Troubleshoot wireless LAN issues. On the left side here, I have our packet tracer activity open up. This is our work area. This is where we're going to connect into our devices, troubleshoot, do any fixing we need to do for this lab. On the right side, I have the instructions. The bottom right is the packet tracer activity window that opens up when you normally open a packet tracer. Above that in the top right, I have the Word document of those same instructions. Because we have to document and say what we did to fix the problems, I'm going to use the Word document. That'll allow me to type in my answers, save that document then. What we have going on here is we have two different networks. We have a home network, we have the corporate network. In our addressing table, you can see we have all sorts of information. We have the home wireless router, how it's set up, the IP addressing, we have the radius servers, all the web servers, laptops, smartphones, all that connected in. We have our wireless LAN information here, SSIDs, what authentication we're using, passwords to get into that. And then we have our objectives. Troubleshoot wireless LAN connectivity issues in the home and the enterprise. A background scenario. We've learned how to configure wireless. Now we're going to look at how to troubleshoot those wireless problems. Our goal is to enable connectivity between the hosts on the networks to the web server by both IP address and URL. Connection between the home and the enterprise network is not required. What we're looking at here is our end devices. Can they connect into this web server? This web server has got a DNS name, www.netacad.pt. It also has an IP address, 203.100.113.78. Each one of our wireless devices, we're going to connect or try to connect into using our web browser to that URL and that IP address. Connectivity between home and enterprise is not required. Home is on the left, enterprise is on the right. We don't have to have connectivity between these two. That's not part of this exercise. We're not going to worry about that. We're just going to worry about our wireless devices connecting into the web server. Wireless router, username, password is admin. Wireless LAN controller, username is admin, and password is Cisco123 with a capital C. Part 1. Troubleshoot the network. We're going to test the connectivity. Test the connectivity between the various wireless hosts and the web server by both IP address and URL. Record the host that cannot access the web server in table 2 or in the table in step 2. Step 2, investigate issues and record the findings. So we're going to go through, figure out which ones can and cannot connect into that web server by the IP and URL. And we're going to find out why. And then part 3 is fix the issues. Now I'm pointing this out because when I find an issue, I like to go and fix the issue right away. And so I'll be doing the investigating and recording findings and fixing the issues all at the same time. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. What we can see here is we got 3 wireless devices. We have the tablet, we have the smartphone, and we have the laptop. Those 3 devices, it looks like we have wireless connectivity. What that means to me is our SSID our WPA2 personal with our pre-shared key of Cisco 123 is those are all connected up. They're wirelessly connected into our home wireless router. Let's go ahead, open up tablet PC. Slide this, make it a little bit bigger. Click on desktop. Normally I move it over here like this, but right now I'm going to keep it right here. That allows me to see this information. That allows me to see the URL of our web server and the IP address. It's just a little shortcut I like to do. But on our tablet PC window, I'm going to open up our web browser. And we need to test the URL and IP address right away. And so we type in www.netacad.pt. Host name not resolved. Oh, right out the bat, we have something wrong. Let's go ahead and check that IP address. 203.1 or .0. Okay, let's start over. 203.0.113.78. I hit enter. It's thinking about it. And we got a request timeout. So we couldn't get into it through the URL or IP address. Let's go ahead and note that down here. So the device here, it was the tablet PC. It was on the home network. And the issue here was could not resolve host name or I guess it should be an timeout on IP address. Well, let's go ahead and look at, I'm going to minimize tablet PC, look at our smartphone. So I click on our smartphone, bring that up here, desktop. Let's go ahead and open up our web browser. Type in our URL, www.netacad.pt. Thinking about it, we're waiting for a message to appear. No message. We can cheat and use the fast forward button down here. Go ahead and hit that. I hit it a couple of times. Click on smartphone again. Host name unresolved. So we can't resolve the host name. Let's put in our IP address, 203.0.113.78. And because I'm impatient, I'm going to click the fast forward button. Click on the smartphone and the request timed out. Same thing our tablet PC did. And so this is the smartphone. It's on our home network. And it's the same problems. Let's go ahead and try our laptop. Desktop PC, open up our web browser, type in our URL, www.netacad.pt. I click the fast forward button, click on laptop, got name resolved, or host name unresolved. Not looking good. Let's put in our IP address, 203.0.113.78. Click fast forward, click on my laptop again, and request timed out. Same problems. Go ahead and document that. Laptop, home, and I'm just going to cut and paste. Okay, so we got 3 things in our home that aren't working. Down here, looking at our corporate network, we have 2 wireless devices. These 2 wireless devices, they're not even connected into our access point. And so, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and try laptop 1, desktop, open up our web browser, type in our URL, www.netacad.pt, click fast forward, name unresolved, type in our IP address, 203.0.113.78. see what keeping this over here, allowing me to see that, I can just type that number in. Go ahead and type go. Click fast forward a couple of times. And we get request timed out. And so on laptop 1, on the enterprise network, well, first off, there's no wireless. And because there was no wireless, we couldn't resolve anything. And I'm going to check laptop 2 quick, but we're going to get the same thing. www.netacad.pt, name unresolved, 203.0.113.78. Click go. Fast forward a couple times. Laptop 2, request timed out. So we got laptop 2, enterprise, and I'm just going to cut and paste. Okay, looking at this, let's take a look at the home network first. They all have the problems. They're all connected into the wireless router wirelessly, but they all had the same issues. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and take a look at the wireless router, because that seems to be the common variable. But I can't click on that and do any configuration. What we have to do is use the admin computer, wire into it, and then connect into that IP address. Down here on our connections menu, I click on our connections. I'm looking for the copper straight through. Notice my cursor's changed again. It's the end of a networking cable, RJ45 on the end. You're going to plug it into one of those ports on your devices. I'm going to click on the home admin, goes into the fast Ethernet 0, shows I'm connected to the home admin, and then up to the home wireless router. I'm going to go ahead and click on the home router, click on the first one here, gigabit Ethernet 1, and we have to wait for it to go through its negotiation process here. It's an amber orange circle. If you're impatient, you can click the fast forward button like I did. Now it's a green triangle. Yes, it says 01 above it, but eventually that'll go away. Once we have that connection up and running, we can now use the home admin computer. Get a little bit bigger, desktop tab, open up our web browser, and connect into the IP address of our home wireless router. Where do we get the IP address? Over here from our addressing table. Here's our home wireless router. Our LAN address is set up as 192.168.0.1. Let's go ahead and set that. Put that in our web browser, 192.168.0.1. It's asking to log in. If we scroll down a little bit right here, home wireless router, username and password is admin, all lowercase, admin and admin again. And we are logged in. I'm going to make that a little bit wider, going left to right. Here we are on the setup menu with our basic setup. We have the internet setup. This is the connection going out to our ISP. So that's going this way. That's right here. Set up with a static IP address of 192.168.1.2. We scroll up here and look at it. Our internet connection should be it should be DHCP, not static. Let's go ahead and change that. All you have to do is select from the drop down. Select automatic configuration, DHCP. Let's check the rest of the settings while we're here. Our IP address, that was correct. That's what we connected into. That's right here. That's looking good. The DHCP server is enabled. Start IP address of 192.168.0.1. We really can't do that. Because if we hand out that IP address, you're going to have two IP addresses. So we got to change that start IP address to something different. I'm going to put 2 in there. Hand out 5 IP addresses. That looks pretty good. And then here's our static DHCP server, 10.100.100.250. Let's verify that that's right. Over here in our IP addressing table, we have our DNS server, 10.100.100.254, last octet, 254.250. We need to go ahead and change that to 254 in our last octet. That's probably why our hosts weren't able to resolve the address. It was the IP address for the DNS server was wrong. This is all looking good. We have to save our configurations. I'd press save. When we did that, I'm going to minimize this window. It shut down all the connections here, all the wireless connections, all the wired connections. It turned them off, made the changes, and turned them back on. So these reconnected, all the wireless devices reconnected. We are waiting for the negotiation process on the switch for the wireless home router to finish its process, or if you're impatient, click fast forward. Now we have all green lights. Oh, that was some major changes. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. Let's open up our tablet PC. Let's put in our URL, www.netacad.pt. Host name is still unresolved, even though we are pointing to the DNS server now. Let's put in our IP address, 203.0.113.78. That's still timing out, so we can't get the URL or the IP address working. Well, let's check the configuration here on the tablet. I'm going to go ahead and close the web browser right here, the right side of the blue line. Click on the X. I'm going to go ahead and open up our IP configuration app, and it's set. Wait, this should be. Let's go up to our addressing table. For the tablet PC, it should be set to use the DHCP server. Here we have a static. Let's go ahead and click on DHCP. It'll start the DORA process. Let's see if it gets an address. IP version 4 address 192.168.0.5/24, default gateway, and our DNS server. That's looking positive. I'm going to go ahead and close the IP configuration app. Right side the blue line, click on the X, open up my web browser, type in our URL, www.netacad.pt. Impatient, go ahead and click fast forward, click back on my tablet PC. There it is. It actually resolved. Once again, it is a glamorous text-only website, but we are now able to connect through our URL. Let's go ahead and try the IP address, 203.0. Oh, I got to slide it over. I don't remember what it was. 113.78. Click go, and it came up. It is working. Now, one last thing we need to do before we leave the tablet PC is document what we did here. For the tablet PC, could not resolve. Problem was set to static IP. Remedy, what we did here, set to DHCP. That's what we did to get that to work. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and minimize our tablet PC. That's working. Let's go ahead and look at our smartphone again. Smartphone, well, we did make some changes on the wireless router. Let's go ahead and try our URL, www.netacad.pt. Impatient, click fast forward, Click on smartphone. Host name not resolved. Well, I can't type in www correctly. So let's go ahead, resolve that. I click go. Impatient, I click fast forward. Come back up here, click on smartphone, and name unresolved. Okay, let's try our IP address. 203.0.113.78. Well, I'm able to get it through the IP address, but I'm not able to get it through the URL. I'm going to go ahead and close our web browser. Open up our IP configuration window and look. Oh, it's still got the old .250. Okay, I'm going to close the IP configuration app, open up my command prompt, type in IP CONFIG IP config, all one word, space / renew. That's going to do the DORA process, give me my new address. And if we look, I now have the correct DNS server. We should be able to resolve it. I'm going to go ahead and close our command prompt, right side of the blue line, open up my web browser, and type in my URL, www.netacad.pt. And there it is. We are able to get the smartphone to connect in. Now, as we're working through this, it also occurs to me that on the wireless router, we found a problem, right? We found several of them. On the wireless router, we did find several problems. I'm going to minimize this, open up the home admin. Looking at my basic setup, couple things here. We had was wireless router that was on the home network. Internet connection was static. Forgot to document it when we were here. Set to DHCP. IP address was right. The start IP address was wrong. So this is the higher wireless router home. Start IP address was overlapping. We set it to not overlapping. We also changed the DNS. We also fixed that. So in our home, I still had it in the clipboard, so I was able to paste it right in there. DNS server for DHCP was set incorrect. So what I did was set DNS server to 10.100.100.254. Look at all those problems we figured out. Okay, go ahead and close that. Last thing we have to do is verify our laptop. Put in our URL, www.netacad.pt. Impatient, I'm going to go ahead and click fast forward, click on laptop, name unresolved. Try our IP address, 203.0.113.78. But that works. I wonder if we just have to renew that IP address again. I'm going to close the web browser, right side the blue line, open up my command prompt, type in IP CONFIG to see what my settings currently are at. Doesn't show me here, so I have to go into the all. So IP config, all one word, space / all. And it shows me my DNS server. It has the old IP address in there. So I need to do that renew command. So IP config space / renew goes through the DORA process, gives me my address. Now we have the correct DNS server. Go ahead, close our command prompt, open up our web browser. Put in our URL, www.netacad.pt, and it works. Our home network has full connectivity now to the web server. Once again, that's all we're doing is getting connectivity to the web server. Time to go over and look at our, so smartphone and laptop we came up with problems, but it was actually wireless router problems. So I'm going to note that in here. Wireless router misconfigurations. That way we know what the remedy was. Then we'll say corrected wireless router. I'm just going to do a copy and paste here quick. Now let's take a look at our corporate networks. Laptop 1, laptop 2 doesn't have a wireless connection. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the controller. I'm going to look and see what's up with the controller. Now, you can't go in and configure it. There's not a lot of configuration you can do here. What you need to do is use the admin PC. So I'm going to click on the admin PC, click on desktop, bring this over, open up my web browser, and put the IP address of the wireless LAN controller, 192.168.200.254 in there. 192.168.200.254. And of course, we need to put the HTTPS in there. We have the login screen. Once again, you had to put the HTTPS in there. Go ahead and click login. Our password here is, or username is admin. Password is Cisco123, capital Cisco. So admin, capital C. Let's start that over. Capital C, Cisco123. And it took a second, but we are in. We are there. Let's look and see what we can see. Rogue top wireless LAN. Oh, look at this. We don't have any wireless. Doesn't look like we have any wireless LANs. Got a couple access points up and running. 0 clients. Let's go ahead and take a look at our wireless LANs here. I clicked on wireless LANs. Here's WLAN 1, wireless LAN, VLAN 10, SSID 10 enabled. Going up to my address table. 10 should be WPA2 with a pre-shared key. Here it's showing WPA2 with using 802.1x. That's authorization using an external service like a Radius server. We need to go in and edit that one. So I'm going to click on the one here on the left side. I clicked on it and we're waiting. Just took a while. And we need to go in and change this authentication. It was 802.1x. It should be WPA2 with a pre-shared key. That was underneath security, layer 2. And we need to uncheck 802.1x and check pre-shared key. Should be ASCII, and then it should be Cisco123. Capital C, Cisco123. All the other settings remain the same. Go ahead and click apply. Gives us a warning. Wow. For being a virtual program, this is definitely taking a while. Okay, so we jump back in here. We're looking good. How we know it set it, took it to the general tabs. Let's go ahead and click back. Let's look at the second wireless LAN. See what we got going on there. Wireless LAN 2, profile name, wireless VLAN 20, SSID-20, admin status is disabled. Huh, we need to go in and fix that. Go ahead and click on the 2. Sit here and wait for a couple seconds as it loads in. As it sits here and loads in, we have to enable it. You created it, you did the settings, but we forgot to check this little box. So go ahead and check that box and click apply. Click apply. And once again, we sit here and wait for it to update the changes. And you can see that it was yellow. Now the yellow box went away from the apply. Its check mark is enabled. I'm going to click back to take me back to the listing of our wireless LANs. Wireless LAN, wireless VLAN 20, SSID 20. Now it's enabled. We have WPA2 with 802.1x enterprise. Okay, so we did make some changes here. We need to go in and document what we did. I'm going to add in some more lines here because we're finding all sorts of problems. WLC. That was in on the enterprise. Oh, enterprise correctly. First thing is SSID 10 had wrong security, so we changed to WPA2 with a pre-shared key. WLC again, enterprise, so we're documenting our second problem. SSID-20 not enabled, so we enabled it. Let's go ahead and see if we can get connected in. Oh, look at that. We changed it to pre-shared key. Laptop 10 is working. Let's go ahead and see if that fixed everything. I'm willing to try it. I open up laptop 10 window, open up my web browser. Let's go ahead and put in our URL, www.netacad.pt. There's our page. It resolved the name correctly, gave us our web server. Let's test our IP address. So we have 203.0.113.78. And that works fine. We fixed that. Up here for laptop 1, I'm just going to say WLC misconfigurations. Fix WLC problems. Now let's take a look at laptop 2. On here we're going to look at our PC wireless, because that's where the configurations are. Notice we don't have an association. What we're going to do is we're going to go look at the profile that's set up to use our 802.1x radius server. That here is the WLAN 20 SSID. I'm going to click on edit. From here, go ahead and click on the SSID-20 and then advanced setup. It's going to walk us through the settings. For wireless mode, we want to make sure it's on infrastructure. We want to make sure to obtain our settings automatically by DHCP server. Wireless security, WPA2 enterprise, that's the radius server right down here. The remote authentication dial-in user service, where the username and password are. Go ahead and click next. Here we have the wireless security, WPA2 enterprise. We have login name of user 20. Let's go up here, verify that. Right here's our information. Oh, it's user 2. So we have an error right there. So go ahead and change that to user 2. And then here's our password. User 2, capital P, pass. Here it looks like it's only 4 characters long. I'm just going to go ahead and retype it over. User, all lowercase, number 2, capital P, A, S, S. Everything else looks good there. I'm going to go ahead and click next. Settings we have, those are looking good. Click on save. Congratulations. Let's go ahead and click to a network or connect to a network. And there we go. We have connected into the network. We now see we have that connection. Our adapter is active. We have nice little signals there. One last thing to do is to make sure we have our connectivity back to that server. I'm going to go ahead and close our wire configuration app, open up my web browser, slide this over. Up here, I'm going to put www.netacad.pt. There, once again, is our wonderful text-based web page. And let's put in our IP address to 3.0.113.78. There's our beautiful text-based web page. All of our devices, all of our wireless devices, all have connectivity to our web server by URL and IP address. We did have quite a few things. Oh, we need to go down here and talk about laptop 2. What did we do? We had a wrong username for 802.1x. And what did we do to fix it? We corrected username. That takes care of all of our problems. Everything's troubleshot. And that was Packet Tracer Lab 13.4.5 Troubleshoot Wireless LAN Issues. It was my pleasure to provide you with this wonderful episode on configuration examples. If you like this episode and you got value out of it, please click that like button, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. This all helps me bring you more great content. Please take a minute to subscribe to my channel. All my socials and contact information are on my website, KevTechify.com. There you can find out how to get all these episodes in video and podcast form. Thank you so much for watching this episode of my series on practical configuration examples for the CCNA. I've created 4 wonderful playlists for you on the CCNA. These episodes, I go through all the concepts that Cisco calls out for the CCNA. Once again, I'm Kevin. This is KevTechify. I'll see you next time for another great adventure.